Bulavinaka, my name is Litia and I'm from the beautiful island of Laos and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Casey, I'm from Tavua. We love Today FM in Tavua. Today FM rocks.
My name is Selina, I'm from Tavenga Vengamba. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Pula, my name is Carlo. I love listening to the music in Today FM, in Malak Island. Today FM rock.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
In the news tonight, Prime Minister hails Fijians' resilience. Cleanup continues in affected areas. And Nausori residents worried about floodwaters.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spade.
Prime Minister Vorengembaini Marama today visited areas in the Western Division that were affected by severe tropical cyclone Kenny yesterday. He visited several communities and had a stopover at Tavua District School to meet the evacuees. Akusita Tale reports the Prime Minister is pleased with how Fijians prepared themselves for the cyclone.
The Prime Minister says Fijians were well prepared for the bad weather that ravaged most parts of the country for the past few days.
Yes. I think they've done very well. There's nothing we can do with the flood coming in. There's nothing we can do with the wind, but the communities have come together and helped themselves. And like I said, these ones at least moved here on Sunday, so they prepared themselves well.
The Prime Minister this morning advised more than 300 men, women and children at the evacuation centers to now focus on cleaning up their homes. He says this advice applies to everyone seeking shelter at the various evacuation centers around the country.
Yes, they need to stay a bit longer. We can clean up the school later on, but they need to go and clean up their homes. And it doesn't take 6 hours to go and clean up their home. They need to go and clean up their home and come back to the evacuation center while their homes dry up and get cleaned out, and then they can move back again.
Bainimarama has also commended the communities living along the road for helping the authorities clearing the debris caused by the flood. Around 719 evacuees are sheltered at 10 evacuation centers in Tavua. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
Kandavu was not spared by severe tropical cyclone Kenny. This latest video was sent in earlier today by Lendua Vakaraivi via Facebook. Shows the devastation caused by the Cat 3 cyclone in Vunise on Kandavu Island. Kandavu villagers began to pick up the pieces from what's left as they continue with their daily lives. The island of Kandavu faced the full brunt of severe tropical cyclone Kenny yesterday. Severe TC Kenny battered the island for several hours, causing damage to houses, cutting water and electricity supply, and disconnecting communication networks to most villages. Sanyani Boiler reports.
While most of Fiji was spared of devastation by TC Kenny, those on Kandavu were not so lucky. Strong winds and heavy rain picked up speed on Kandavu Island at about 2 p.m. yesterday and lasted for several hours.
I've been in Kandavu for the last 8 years, but this is the first cyclone that have hit Kandavu very badly. And in the government station and also in the government school in Vunise, many houses are badly damaged, especially those houses were the old buildings, even the library, severely damaged. And also pine trees and even trees around the Vunise government station, even in the school compound. Some of the houses were badly damaged by these trees.
National Disaster Management Office Director Anarele Ningila says a team will be deployed sooner.
Recently received report that Kandavu has been badly affected. The teams are currently meeting today to discuss the options for mobilizing teams to do the assessment of the ground.
Numerous evacuation centers are now active on the island. Sainia Nimboila, FBC News.
Cleanup continues in many parts of Ba following the damages caused by tropical cyclone Kenny. Many were still picking up the pieces after the Easter weekend flooding when TC Kenny brought in more torrential rain, causing widespread flooding in Ba yesterday. Felipe Naikaso has more.
This is now a familiar sight for many people and business owners. This was the third flood this year for the people of Mba.
This time we can see this much current over here. The place we are standing, we can't stand here, we can't swim because of very big current over here. And the water rose very fast. Within 10 minutes the water came in the house, so we can't save anything.
And for many people, the thought of moving to a higher place or flood-free area is now very much on the cards.
Well, I have to buy it here because I have no choice, because I own the building now, and operating from here is my best option. But maybe later I have to relocate because every year it's getting worse now.
Oh yeah, we want to go to some higher place where the flood doesn't come. Yeah, it is nearly 1 month. We, 3 or 4 times the flood is here. It's better to go somewhere high place.
However, some still remain optimistic of flooding issues being solved.
Main problem we can do say about the drainage, river dredging and all. If these things come up quickly, then it would be more easy for us people.
Meanwhile, majority of places in Ba still do not have water and power. Philip and Ikaso, FBC News.
Residents in Rakiraki didn't waste another day as they got busy with cleaning up flood-hit areas following the bad weather yesterday. Not only residents but officials from the Fiji Electricity Authority, Water Authority of Fiji, Telecom Fiji Limited and municipal workers were visible on the ground trying to restore services. Akusita Thale with more.
Clearing of debris began as early as 7 a.m. as people tried to get their lives back to normal. With water supply yet to be fully restored, residents of Navuni Vivi village made use of the good weather to wash their flood-soaked clothes in the river.
Well, I started putting up the shutters and securing our properties when I finished from work on Monday night. But it wasn't enough as strong winds and heavy rain flooded our homes. Well, water entered many homes in the village, but I am very, very thankful that no life was lost.
Several vendors at the Rakiraki market resorted to selling their produce at the town entrance as NFA officers and municipal workers cleared the thick silt and debris from the market.
From the Winston, it was good market for us. We were selling inside, and now we're facing problem. Come and go there when the rain comes. You get wet and like that.
While most businesses were closed, others restocked their goods back on the shelves to resume business.
For 2 weeks we are putting everything upstairs, downstairs. Even our staffs got tired of doing all that.
Most vendors say they have faced more devastation this year with 3 floods compared to previous years. Business in Rakiraki is expected to normalize by the weekend. Akusita Tali, FBC News.
More than 15,000 people are currently taking shelter in various evacuation centres around the country. The National Disaster Management Office says evacuees will not return until their homes are cleared by officials on the ground. Ali Kimbia with the story.
The impact of Cyclone Kenny on Fiji is still unknown. However, the NDMO has revealed their immediate focus.
The focus for today is to visit a lot of the affected areas, assessing the situation on the ground, and also trying to ensure that the government responds and in terms of the relief and recovery options that we have to ensure that we support all Fijians in these affected areas.
Leweningila says getting the students back to school is paramount.
We are all working on schools to ensure that schools use the evacuation centers are cleared so that we can resume normal classes and the utilities are working.
Severe Cyclone Kenny has cut off NDMO's assessment work after the floods. However, Leweningila says they will now compile all reports together.
I think one of the things that we have discussed is just the need to assess everything after Kenny and just to use one report for the whole event. That is basically to ensure that we assess all the damages and also that we cover the new affected areas.
Assessments are currently underway in the west and other affected areas. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
2/3 of Syria Park in Nausori was flooded this afternoon. The Nausori Town Council says with more rain expected later tonight, there could be more flooding in low-lying areas. Anna Ravulo reports.
The Reo River was rising from this morning, and by this afternoon some parts of Nausori were flooded. Nausori Town Council CEO Akhtar Ali says they expect more rain.
With the weather situation and the expected rain afterwards, probably this afternoon, we would expect some flooding. We are also checking all our drains to ensure that the drains are doesn't there's flash flooding, because at this point in time we're expecting some serious rain in Nausori.
Schools near the river had to send their students home, and those that are familiar with the floods in these areas say they are prepared if things get worse.
Recently we move our places, our stuff to the village hall and prepare ourselves for the cyclone and the floods.
Just prepared for just go to a higher place, look somewhere, to go big high hill.
The river level here in Nausori is expected to further increase this evening. The Nausori Town Council is advising people living in flood-prone areas to move to higher ground if they feel they are at risk. Ana Ravulo, FBC News.
Still to come, submissions talk about online safety. And Fiji Times executives to take plea on Friday. Stay with us.
Bula, kera mai singatoka, kera ndo talita kana varorong na radio Fiji 1 and domoy viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Kuminasong mutikola ndo talita kana radio Fiji 1 kina domoy viti.
Kaya kuyaga silil tale, nagurara may naomanyi, nandunga. Gitu talita gini ang gitu pinasabale, nagundurong varorong na radio Fiji 1 nandomoy viti.
Na radio Fiji 1 nandomoy viti na ponga ni BNN.
The police force has begun assessing their various community posts, properties and assets post-tropical cyclone Kenny. Commissioner of Police Brigadier General Siti Veningilio says at the peak of the cyclone, the police along with other emergency personnel were responsible for the security and mobility of more than 6,000 evacuees in more than 100 evacuation centres. Gilio adds that while a number of evacuation centres remain active, maintaining security and assisting Fijians with their resettlement will top the agenda.
The most part of it now is going into rehabilitation part of things. And we have our own rehabilitation to do in regards to police stations that may have been damaged, and time to regroup, look at lessons learned and what we have to do better next time around.
The Water Authority is prioritising areas in Rakiraki, Tavo and Ba to normalise the supply of water. WAF says those areas were severely affected by the recent flooding and are in need of water for cleaning up. The authority says it has been experiencing difficulties in accessing some of the gravity dams due to infrastructural damage. The authority will wait for the water levels to recede before they can access the dams and fix damaged pipelines.
Rakiraki, we managed to recommission yesterday night, and in Ba we have 3 pumping stations and 3 gravity stations. So out of 3 pumping stations now we have already recommissioned 2. Within another 1 day or 2 days we'll be in a much better position.
In the last 10 years, sexual predators have taken advantage of the internet to target vulnerable Fijians, particularly women and children. These online predators have been using sexual grooming as a method to exploit children. Hence, the online safety bill that is before Parliament can play a crucial role in bringing these monsters to task. Rachel Nuth reports some concerned youths presented their submission in favour of the bill to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights.
The access to internet and social networking is no doubt very beneficial for learning. However, there are some who use these platforms to exploit the vulnerable.
This floodgate is now open to the mind. And what is it putting? All of this content that is being consumed. And that's what's affecting viewpoints of people.
Sexual grooming not a commonly spoken issue in Fiji, but one that has a huge impact on children.
Know that that private chat is not really an offense and not something we can stop people doing. However, the bill should consider sexual grooming as a serious offense.
When I use Facebook, Instagram or any online social media apps, I would just like to feel safe. I have a younger sister at home. I want her to be safe when she's using these apps.
My son is 6 and my daughter is 3, and the thing I'm scared of the most is what I can't protect them from.
The number of rape, sexual assault and molestation cases have increased significantly over the years, and the internet plays a huge role in giving power to predators. This is why the online safety bill needs to be submitted to Parliament as soon as possible to assist in reducing these rates. Rachel North, FBC News.
The Fiji Times executives charged in relation to alleged sedition will take their plea this Friday. Josai Wangambada, Anare Ravula, Fred Wesley and Hank Arts have been charged with 1 count each of sedition. It is alleged that Wangambada, Ravula, Wesley, Arts and the Fiji Times Limited made or caused to have published a seditious statement in the Nailalakai newspaper. The 4 were to take their pleas today. However, the defence counsels raised issues in relation to the information filed by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. In sports later with Jamie, Fiji Netters continues losing streak, but we now join Rachel with business.
Thanks, Jackie. Good evening, and coming up in business tonight. The Reserve Bank of Fiji has revealed alarming stats. And in growing Fiji, Lambasa's supermarket chain plans ahead. Stay with us.
Moala ranavika o tikongona taunu Singapore ando talitaka na vakaronga na Bull FM number 2 na serre.
Ya dora subuni kurna bili. Borani batukara hambara binanga. Do talitakina na vakaronga na Bull FM number 2 na serre. Bula!
Bula FM number 2 na serre.
Leading business tonight, the Reserve Bank of Fiji has revealed that 36% of the adult population is underserved in terms of receiving access to a formal financial service. Governor Arif Ali says the central bank wants to boost the access to 85% of Fijians. If the central bank is able to reach these targets, then an additional 130,000 Fijians will receive a formal financial service. Ali says this will be achieved through its 2016-2020 National Financial Inclusion Strategic Plan.
In terms of geographical distribution, it is anticipated that 6% will be from the Eastern Division, 22% from the Northern Division, 40% from the Western Division, and 32% from the Central Division.
And we now join Sharon from HFC Bank with the latest from the stock market.
Thank you. Let's have an overview of what's making headlines in the financial markets today. Most major currencies traded higher as US stocks extended their gains. Investors were relieved that Chinese President Xi refrained from escalating trade tensions. Instead, he talked about the possibility of lowering trade tariffs on autos and tightening enforcement on intellectual property. Looking at economic data, US wholesale prices rose by 0.3% in March, with core readings hitting 7-year highs. For our Aussie counterparts, their consumer confidence fell 0.6% in April from 0.2% seen in March. All this had implications on our Fiji dollar, and Rachel will have the forex rates next. Vinaka.
Thanks, Sharon. Yes, taking a look at today's currency exchange rate set this morning for the Fijian dollar. The Fiji dollar was on the rise against most of the currencies we follow, including the US dollar, but slipped slightly against the Aussie and the Kiwi dollar. Taking a look at the commodities market, oil prices were up to more than $3 at $65.50 a barrel. Gold was up as well to close at $1,339 an ounce, and silver followed suit, closing at $16.50 an ounce. And in growing Fiji tonight, the Charanjit Singh Group plans to open its 3rd supermarket in Rakiraki next year, with a major hotel development in Lautoka already in the pipeline. As CJS, Supermarket Director Dr. Swaran Singh says they plan to complete their mall in Lambasa by the end of this year, with spaces already being rented out. Singh says they also are looking at expanding their hospitality service in the north.
In Nakasi, where we have another supermarket which we plan to open, and then we have a hotel in Lautoka which we plan to develop too. It's all in the pipeline, and then we've got some more rooms being done in Lambasa in our Grand Eastern Hotel, so we're going to put additional 24 rooms there, and then we've got another mall coming up in Lambasa, whereby we've already got about 14 shops at the bottom, which has already been rented out. And the second floor, we're having about 6 food courts. And at the top floor, we have a twin cinema coming up.
And that's it from Business this evening. Here's Jamie with the latest in sports.
Thanks, Rachel, and good evening in sports tonight. Winston Hill continues with amazing run at Commonwealth Games. And Fiji finals to go ahead as planned. This and more coming up.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकु रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची एफएम सुनती हूँ। मिर्ची एफएम इज नंबर 1। इट्स सो हॉट।
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची एफएम सुनो अच्छा लगे। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट।
हाय, मैं संध्या नारिया रखरुकी से मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची एफएम सुनते हैं। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट। आई लव मिर्ची एफएम।
हमें स्पिन तो हुआ कि मिर्ची एफएम में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे।
मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट।
Fijian boxer Winston Hill continues to amaze the amateur boxing world in the 69 kilograms category. This as he is now through to the semi-final of the Commonwealth Games and guaranteed a medal after beating Scotland's Stephen Nunes in Australia last night. Wastel Prasad reports.
It's been a 36-year wait for boxing, but finally the sport will be bringing home a medal from the Commonwealth Games. And the credit for this goes to Winston Hill, who has been ruffling feathers in the ring.
We've set our sights high on the gold medal, and we're really working hard, doing a lot of research on our opponents to achieve that goal.
Hill was in class of his own last night, and something which even the commentators could not digest.
We're doing a few too many cheeky things, Husha holding the head down and punching, just a few, just silly things, unnecessary.
Hill's every punch saw every Fijian supporter.
He showed a lack of experience through emotions. I felt a lot of emotions coming from him during the fight.
Hill's next opponent is Northern Ireland's Adrian Wells.
A lot of swagger in his fight, and I'll just come in with the intent to win and outbox him.
The Suva-based boxer, dubbed as Winston, the real deal, Hill has already made the country proud. Now his aim is to create a history this weekend.
Just dedicated to the families back home, and just to give a bit of hope in this their time of struggle. And all this, we give praise and glory to the Lord.
Friday night's semi-final bout will be a big one for Hill. Not only he could put Fiji on top, but could also give a lifeline to a sport which has been struggling for years.
So Winston Hill.
Vashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
The Fiji netball side have finished winless at the Commonwealth Games after losing 74-46 in its last pool match. The side earlier went down to South Africa 92-28 in pool play last night.
Still on her face when she checked. So the last 60 seconds now. Absolutely. Under 30 now. Wanga. Maybe with a chance to score Fiji's final goal of the game. 28.
Fiji, a lot of clapping and backslapping, so happy with that. But you're right. Wangini Drola was terrific. Did a lot of the work by herself.
They certainly are happy, aren't they? Have a look at that. Oh, I mean, honestly, I have got a smile on my face from ear to ear as I watch that.
The England netball team has qualified undefeated for the semi-final of the Commonwealth Games. The side defeating New Zealand 54-45 in its final pool match today. Here are the highlights.
Maria Falau. What a start. Playing the role outside the circle. Obviously, she'd prefer to be there than near the post at the moment because her shot's gone astray, and this lady is on.
The New Zealand need a win or a draw to go through to the semis in their own hands and not worry about Uganda later. And at the moment, on the clock.
Come forward, goal defence.
This one to go back within one.
Obstruction, damage. New Zealand.
There was no way she was giving that one up.
obstruction keeper.
Chambers, but no, against
Les knows
Mentor.
how big that is, doesn't she? It's just another of those moments.
Chest pass over the top, if you don't mind, Underalls.
Now with 30 of them.
Yeah, they are on a roll now. Full of confidence.
It's 7 goals. And that was in the previous
Stage
meeting
offside, wing defence.
back in January, but that was after extra time. Selby Rickett cuts it back. Netball tournament since back in the Netball World Cup in 1975. And just to put the Nausori shot, she didn't need it. They have been clinical throughout England. They embrace New Zealand beaten again.
The annual Coca-Cola Games is still scheduled to begin next week Thursday at the ANZ Stadium in Suva. Fiji Secondary Schools Athletics Association Secretary Vuli Wanga says despite the recent unfavorable weather conditions, they have not been instructed to move the games. More than 2,400 athletes are expected to take part at this year's event. 141 schools have been confirmed, while some maritime schools have yet to confirm their participation.
Schools are calling in wanting to know whether there is going to be a deferment of the competition. At the moment, we are still preparing as if it's going to be held next week from the 19th to the 23rd. To change the date of the Coca-Cola Games or to change the zone, I mean the term 1, there is only one that could make the call, and that is the Ministry of Education. Without any advice from the Ministry, we will go ahead with the game next week.
The Fiji Volleyball Federation has selected a 50-member women's extended squad to prepare for the upcoming Asian Volleyball Confederation Championship that is scheduled from the 21st to the 23rd of July in Hong Kong. Team official Rosandali Tuidama says with a majority of the reps being young players, the main goal is to provide exposure before taking on bigger tournaments next year. The squad of 50 will be reduced over the next few months.
It's really to prepare the girls and give them more exposure. I see from the names that there's some notable names, but otherwise a lot of them are still new. They have not been exposed to that level of game time championship, and this is going to be an opportunity for them to get a feeling of what playing at that stage and experience how that is going to ultimately help them out when preparing for the Pacific Games.
The National Rugby League is currently gathering bank details from Fiji Mbati players for their World Cup payment. According to the Fiji National Rugby League, there are a few more players who are left to submit their bank details. Chief Executive Timothy Nalemba says the delays are really unfortunate as they do not have any control over the World Cup payments as it is with the NRL. He adds that once the NRL gathers all the players' banking details, the payments will be transferred to the FNRL's Australian account, then dispersed to the players.
They've been constantly contacting the players with regards to their bank details because whatever they have requested FNRL to do, we've done. So what we are waiting for now is for NRL to give us the okay to actually disburse the fund.
Indian boxing legend Mary Kom has advanced to the 48-kilogram category final at the Commonwealth Games with a comprehensive triumph over Sri Lanka's Anusha Dilrukshi this morning. She's one of the favourites to win gold for India at the Games.
We're just seeing a veteran hustle the fight. You know, she's just using her experience, and I think she has won.
Yep, but unanimous. What a terrific performance. Back in a major international.
And that's it from sports tonight. Join Angie later on with weather. And in the world of the weird and the wonderful later on, take a look at what might possibly be the most expensive chickens in the world. That's coming up.
Bula, kera mai singatoka, kera ndo talita kana varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Kombinasyon mo sekolah untuk tali tak na radio Fijian kena domili.
Kaya guado sila tali. Nagurara may naomani nandunga. Gitu tali tadi yang gitu kena sebalik pun nagudurong. Barong na radio Fijian nandumili.
Na radio Fijian nandumili na bonga ni BNN.
In your media tonight, the product Red Special Edition of the Apple's iPhone 8 goes on sale this week. If you wanted a red iPhone X, you'll have to settle for a case, and there are many more things that come with it. And it's weather time now with Angie.
Hello there and welcome to the Weather World. Hope you're all safe and sound after met Cyclone Kenny, which did massive destruction to some areas of the country. Also on that note, a trough of low pressure with associated rain and clouds remains slow moving over the eastern and northern parts of Fiji and is expected to affect the group till later today. Looking in the west for today, partly sunny skies which turned to cloudiness all over. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, a mix between sun and rain, light showers predicted for tonight. And up north, it was cloudy with spotty showers. Light drizzles are also expected up here. At sea, southwest to northeast winds gusting up to 25 knots with very rough seas. For the tides, high tide is at 3:56 a.m. with low tide at 9:59 a.m. Sunrise tomorrow at 6:15. For tomorrow, the day looks to be much more clearer than today. Tomorrow's temps, Nandi and the northern parts will be cool at 29 degrees. And looking further on to Friday, from what we see for now is a dry day. And that's all from the FBC Weather World. Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fijian Pulse tonight, we ask, should weather warnings be simplified before being released to the public?
I believe the weather updates are very effective during the cyclone time that we experienced yesterday, but maybe we could just include a bit more graphics, explanations to be a bit more simple so that those in the general public who are maybe illiterate or in relation to the figures, can there be more emphasis put on explaining for the weather updates so it's more effective?
Because some students, they go to school, they don't know they're not supposed to be in school, and they call again to some radio stations for warning like that. Some employers too, they still ask their employees to go to work, but they don't know the cyclone coming now.
I think weather reports should be written in simple terms so that the media and the public can easily understand and act accordingly.
Yeah, it should be simplified because every year many people flood and most of the houses flood.
Recapping the main stories, Prime Minister hails Fijians' resilience, cleanup continues in affected areas, and Winston Hill through to Commonwealth boxing semi-finals. Now for these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question this week, we are asking, should Gareth Baber be given a contract to coach the national team until the next Olympics? Visit our FBC website to answer. Before we go, our shot of the day. As the West starts recovery from the two cyclones in as many weeks, these families whose homes were flooded spent the day washing their clothes out in the river. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. You can also follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. That was your FBC News for tonight. From the team and I, stay safe. Good night.
On the radio Fijian and the Moiviti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Kombinasyon mo sekolah untuk tali tak na radio Fijian kena domili.
Kaya guado sila tali. Nagurara may naomani nandunga. Gitu tali tadi yang gitu kena sebalik pun nagudurong. Barong na Radio Fiji 1 nandu mai biti.
Na Radio Fiji 1 nandu mai biti na ponga ni BNN.